All right, guys. So we're getting back to our little review session. Today, we're moving past revolution, and we're going to start to see America forming within itself. So this week, we're going to have two short presentations, but tomorrow, this one's going to be a little boring, not a lot of pictures. But tomorrow, we're going to be able to get up, move around, have a little bit of fun. Before we do that, though, today we got to learn about the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist. These are the first political parties that we have in America. Now, on a sheet of paper, you should see in front of you, you have one section that's a Federalist Party. And the Federalist Party has this rich white guy sitting there, and it's all about restoring government, really rich people who they thought were the true leaders of the country. The Anti-Federalist, which you see on your paper, it has an anarchy symbol. The Anti-Federalists are all about trying to get the government more for the middle class, not the poor. They weren't really worried about the poor yet, but more for the middle class. They were trying to protect them so that the rich elites didn't take over their power. So today we're going to learn about the principles for each party, and we're going to learn about their argument for or against the Constitution. So first, let's talk about the Federalist Party. What were some of the Federalist principles? Now, the Federalists supported ratification of the Constitution. They wanted the Constitution because it was far superior, they thought, to the Articles of Confederation. They thought the Confederation didn't have enough power. The federal government couldn't control the nation, and they were worried if couldn't control the nation, other nations would take it over. And what they were coming back for a counter-revolution. They were very fearful. Now let's see, why did they support the Constitution? What are they all about? So their arguments for the Constitution. The Federalists want to create checks and balances to prevent tyranny. They don't want this Constitution to be George Washington, our new king. They wanted to create a strong national government that still had some checks to make sure it didn't take over. They also wanted to make sure the tyranny of the majority was not possible. They said it wasn't possible because of how diverse the United States was. The United States was so large, so many different industries, that one person's ideals wouldn't take over too much power. So think about the Federalist Party like at a school. The Federalists would say the way we have our system is doing good. We have Dr. Simpkins who's leading, but she taught Mr. K to Sal to some of the teachers who are department heads, and they make decisions together. The Federalists don't want one really powerful rich guy to rule everything, but they do want to have this small, intelligent group making decisions for the rest of the school or the nation. They also support a Bill of Rights to be added after ratification. They wanted a Bill of Rights to make sure that the people of America knew what their rights were, that if the government took away these certain rights, Americans knew it immediately. In a school sense, the Bill of Rights is kind of like when y'all got your student handbook. It told you this is the rules of the school, and this is what the school is going to provide for you. So y'all know exactly what rules are set up, and you know exactly what rights y'all have. And to support this, the Federalist Papers were written. The Federalists all wrote small pamphlets, small journals, usually within pen names, and they distributed among the middle class. Remember, at this time, the poor population really didn't have a lot of say. The middle class was more about, they're more literate. So these pamphlets are really important. Remember, we didn't have TV, we didn't have movies, we didn't have cars. There wasn't a lot to do. So these pamphlets, people really got to them, wanted to read them because it was a really little bit of entertainment you had. So just to recap, the Federalists are all about building a strong constitution that doesn't have, it's not really tyrannical, but that does have clear evidence of who's right or what are the government's rights and what are the people's rights. But this wasn't approved by everyone. There was a group, the Anti-Federalists, who were against this. So let's look at what the Anti-Federalists are all about. The Anti-Federalists, their main principle is they oppose the ratification of the Constitution. They thought this Constitution was going to give too much power to the elites, too much power to one or two people. They thought that it was a process to create a constitutional monarchy. They thought the Articles of Confederation are fine. We need to tweak them a little bit, but they're good. We don't have to worry about adding a new constitution. If you do, then you're taking away too much power from the states. So let's look at how the Anti-Federalists, what was their arguments against the Constitution? Why did they think it wasn't going to succeed? So they argued not for, this is a typo, I apologize. They argued against the Constitution. They weren't for it. They thought that there was going to be too much federal governmental power. Too much power would be in a small group of people's hands in the capital, what would become Washington, D.C. They believed that if you give too much power to those guys over in the capital, you've taken away power from the states. And they thought it was going to be a tyranny of the majority. They feared that if we have a strong federal government, then the political party that's not elected wouldn't have enough say. Also, they're worried. They said if you take away the power from the states, you didn't let the states have power to make decisions and rules in their own area, then our government's not going to be effective, because we need to give those people who are in the particular situation more power, because they know what's going on. This is what they feared, is that, like in our school system, giving Mr. K and Dr. Simpkins all the power, and there's no say for the teachers and the students in how our schools run. So they were arguing that if that happens, then our school won't be effective, because you had the teachers in the classroom and the students in the classroom. They won't be able to explain what the problems really are. And who knows best? It's the kids and the teachers that's in that classroom. That was their main concern. They also argued that the legislative should be more power than the executive branch. They wanted to be sure that those people who are making the laws, those people who are elected in the Congress had more power than the president. They feared that if the president had too much power, he would make all the laws without consulting the populace, and that was a main concern. And lastly, the Anti-Federalists were explicitly wanted a Bill of Rights. They said that they needed that before the Constitution should pass, because without a Bill of Rights, we don't know what our people's rights are. And if people don't know what their rights are, it's easy to take advantage of those people. In summation, guys, the Anti-Federalists were all about making sure that the people knew what their rights were and that the people had the power. They were fearful of the rich elites getting too much power and controlling their government. We're going to end this presentation here. This is just a little taste about when we get to our new political parties. But tomorrow we're going to have a fun activity. We're going to stand up, move around for the Bill of Rights, and then we're going to get to look at the first 4 presidents. So that will be on Thursday. All right? All right, stay classy, Inspired Vision.